silence, and withdrawal are more powerful than you think. It doesn't always have to be about speaking up, arguing, or explaining. Some people just shut up, and the world around them begins to change because they understand when to withdraw. They don't follow other people's scripts. They don't react quickly. And that's what it does. It moves the energy. When you stop reacting immediately, when you take a step back instead of stepping into fray, people start to sense something different. They panic. They worry. They start running after you because your silence isn't weakness. It's initiative. It's inner strength. You don't have to prove anything because you know your worth. Remember, it's not the noise, it's the silence. That really gets people's attention. And sometimes withdrawal is the most powerful act of change. When you are no longer available, things begin to change. People are used to controlling you through predictability, through quick responses, through you always being there, always saying yes, always responding. But when you start to slow down, when you are no longer predictable, they begin to get confused. They realize they never really knew who you were. And then your withdrawal reveals their true colors. Who is sincere, who is just using, who cares, who is just trying to control. Because when you are no longer there to please them, they no longer have a role to play. You're no longer a puppet of expectations. You become yourself, strong, independent, free. Sometimes it is not rebellion, but silence and retreat at the right time. That is the bravest act. And when you change, everything around you is forced to change too. The price of being always there is you. Being too available may sound noble, but in reality, it's a prison disguised as nice. You become an emotional anchor for others. When they're sad, they come to you. When they need to vent, you listen. When they're lost, you're the light. But who is your light? Who listens to you when you're silent? You start to lose your energy. You have no space for yourself. You smile when you're empty inside. You collapse in silence because you're used to being there for everyone but yourself. Remember, you weren't born to be someone else's lifeline. You have the right to turn off your phone, close your door, and recharge, because if you are always ready for everything, eventually you will lose yourself. You wear a mask to be accepted. You smile when you're broken inside. You say, okay, when you're choking. You reply to messages, nod in agreement. Even when you're exhausted, empty, that's not kindness. That's giving up on yourself silently, persistently. You become a socially acceptable version. Polite, proper, inoffensive, but at the same time, you disappear from your own life. Carl Jung called it the journey of individuation, to becoming a whole, authentic person. It begins when you dare to take off your mask, dare to say no, dare to step out of the role of the good guy, to become the real you. You weren't born to please everyone. You were born to be yourself. And there is nothing more powerful than a person who dares be themselves, even if the world doesn't understand. Your mind is an energy system. That's how Carl Jung saw life inside of you. Every time you react violently, every time you argue to prove something, every time you try to please someone, you drain your precious energy. And the danger is you don't even realize it. You think it's normal. You're used to being tired, stressed, and strained every day. But stop for a moment. Exhausted people are not weak. They're just channeling their energy in the wrong direction. You have the power to take that energy back into yourself. Stop explaining. Stop pleasing. Stop reacting immediately. Choose the right place to put your energy. A place that nourishes you, not drains you. Because you can't shine if you keep burning yourself out in unnecessary battles. Learning to protect your energy is an art of living. Knowing how to say no without feeling guilty. Knowing how to be silent without feeling cowardly. Knowing how to take a step back, to observe before acting. That is not weakness. That is true strength, because your energy is not infinite. It is precious. It is worth preserving. People who do not protect their energy are often manipulated, caught up in drama, taken advantage of by kindness that knows no boundaries. You do not need to respond to every word. You do not need to be in every game. You do not need to explain every decision. Be selective about where you put your attention, time, and heart. Let your energy serve you instead of being drained by others. Because when you know how to protect your energy, you don't just live. You live right, you live strong, and you live free. Stop reacting is how you break the game. Manipulators don't need to scream. They don't need to control you publicly. They just need to push the right emotional buttons in you. And you go into submissive, blaming, defensive mode. They're not strong. They just control your reactions. But when you stop reacting, when you don't fall into the trap of explaining, justifying, trying to understand them, you confuse them, anxious, because they no longer have control over you. You force them to look at themselves, something they never wanted. Stop reacting is not passive. It's proactively taking back control of your life. You stop playing the game. You step off the stage, and they lose their audience. And the show is over, and you are finally free. The power of conscious silence. It's not running away. It's proactive. It's strategic. When you choose silence, you're not being weak. You're simply removing them from a role they want you to play. They want you to react. They want you to follow their story. But when you're silent, you're taking away their control of the story about you. Your silence isn't consent. It's asserting your independence. You don't need to prove it. You don't need to explain. You step out of the loop, not letting yourself be swept up in other people's games. Silence isn't giving up. It's mastery. Mastery of your emotions, mastery of your reactions. When you're silent, you give yourself space to think. You don't allow others to define you. Silence is power, for it is the act of the truly free, reconnecting with yourself. It is a journey that few dare to take. Silence is more than just silence. It is a space to listen to yourself. When you stop chasing the judgment of others, when you stop looking for approval from the outside, you begin to hear your inner voice more clearly than ever. You don't have to explain your absence, because it speaks for itself. When you choose to step back, when you choose to take time for yourself, you're saying, I deserve peace and privacy. No one can understand you better than you. Silence is a tool to reconnect with yourself, to realize your worth without being taught by anyone. And when you come back, you will be stronger, more confident, because you know who you really are. The process of rebirth and inner freedom does not start with something grand. It starts simply with silence. That silence is not about hiding, but about listening. Listening to yourself. Listening to the small sounds inside that you have long ignored. When the outside world is noisy, when the voices, expectations, and pressures keep pulling you away, then silence is the starting point for a journey back. After silence comes loneliness. But make no mistake, it is not empty or sad loneliness. It is a kind of complete loneliness. It is when you do not need anyone to feel complete. It is when you no longer need to be filled from the outside, because you have begun to speak from within. In that loneliness, you will lose a few people. People who are only there for you when you meet their needs. Relationships that no longer fit your new journey. But fear not, because in parallel with that loss, you will find yourself again. You will realize that peace does not come from holding someone by your side, but from not losing yourself to hold them. You will touch a source of strength that you have never known before, a freedom that does not come from the outside, but is born from within. When you stop reacting to every call, every expectation, every pressure around you, you begin to live as yourself. Not being willing to satisfy everyone is not selfish. It is the act of someone who knows their limits, knows their worth. It does not make you forgotten. It makes you rare, precious, and irreplaceable. It is in that process, the process of letting go, listening, redefining, that you are reborn, not to become someone new, but to return to who you really are. No need for masks, no need to play roles, no need to prove anything. And that is where inner freedom comes from, a profound freedom. No one can give it to you, and no one can take it away.